All right, we're talking about graphing quadratics. So at this point, we're just going to use a table, take an x value, plug it in, and solve for y. So I'm going to start with 1. Oof, forgive that. I'm only going to do a couple of these before I just start plugging in the calculator. Just so you guys can kind of see. Okay, 1 squared is 1. 4 times 1 is 4. And we get 5 minus 5, which is 0. Okay. So now I'm going to plug in 0. 0 squared is 0. 4 times 0 is 0. Minus 5, well, that gives me negative 5. So now we're going to do negative 1. Negative 1 squared is 1. Negative, or 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. Minus 5. 1 minus 4 is negative 3. Minus 5, that gives me negative 8. Okay, I'm going to do one more, and then I will just plug in. Or you just use, yeah, I'll just use a calculator. All right. All right, so we're plugging in negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4, plus 4 times negative 2 is negative 8, minus 5. 4 plus negative 8 is negative 4, minus 5, which gives me negative 9. All right, so plugging into my calculator, when I plug in 3, I get negative 8. When I plug in negative 4, I get negative 5. Negative 5, I get 0. And when I plug in negative 6, I get 7. So kind of notice there's a pattern here. Okay, I start going down in my numbers. And then all of a sudden I'm going back up. All right, so let's look at what that looks at on the graph. So I'm going to plot these points. So kind of notice my points kind of line up. Now, okay, so looking at this, I'm going to point out some fun little features here. If I draw a line straight down here, notice I've got a roughly symmetrical graph here. Now, if I were to draw this with a computer, it would be symmetrical. This is what we call a line of symmetry, or axis of symmetry. Okay. Now, the point in my graph that goes through that line of symmetry is called the vertex. Okay, so when we're looking at this, my vertex is that lowest point, or the point that goes through my line of symmetry. So the point of my vertex here is -2, -9. The line of symmetry is that line, so it's always going to be an x equals because it's a vertical line, and it's always going to be the x value. That's why it's x equals. Okay, so remember a y-intercept is where we cross the y-axis, which the only place I cross here is at 0, -5. All right, so the x-intercepts right here, we also call zeros. On this graph, we have 2 of them that are easy to pick out because those were points that we plotted. So I get the point -5, 0, and the point 1, 0. Now these were the points that we were finding when we solved the quadratic by factoring. Okay. All right, we're going to look at one more and pick out this same bit of information. All right, so I'm going to do one again where I'm just plugging in. So I'm going to take and plug in 1 for x. Okay, 1 squared is 1, plus 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1. Well, 1 plus 1 is 7, plus 1 is 8. Okay. So I'm going to plug in 0. And I get 1. When I plug in -1, I get -4. When I plug in -2, I get -7. Doing -3, plug in -3 for x. All right, plugging in -4, I get -7. Plugging in -5, I get -4. Plugging in -6, I get 1. All right, so I'm going to plot these points. All right, so looking here, so drawing my line down the center. So my vertex is this point right here. Okay, so my vertex is -3, -8. My line of symmetry is x equals -3. Now I do have a y-intercept, which is right here. So y is 0, 1. Now looking at my x-intercepts right here and right here. They're not on the line nice and neat, are they? So we can't specifically pick those out. So we need another method of finding those zeros if we were looking for them. Okay, so